in the last segment, we started reminiscing on some of the games that capitalism hasn't been able to cash in on sweet nostalgia for yet. So tonight we're giving them the cheat sheet. These are our picks for the top 10 games that need to be remade ASAP, so we can pay $60 for a game that came out when we were children. And I'm kicking us off with number 10 in the countdown, one of my personal favorites, Spore. After a huge success at E3 2006, Spore set to become one of the first games based around the concept of evolution and civilization. Released in 2008, the game has drawn wide attention for its ability to simulate the development of a species on a galactic scope, using its innovation from user-guided evolution to the use of procedural generation for many components within the game, providing a vast scope of open-ended gameplay. This game was truly ahead of its time, and I even played a little bit of it for Free Game Friday, the last Free Game Friday that was out. Go check it out. We had a little creature that we started off from a itty bitty cell, and we didn't get past even the creature stage. But I may even stream some more of it. It hands down was a huge nostalgia for me. As soon as I opened it back up, the first thing I did was I started spending a bunch of hours in the creature creator, because like you can just create these different creatures, any kind of creature you could imagine. Well, not any kind of creature you could imagine, but you can really let your creativity run wild. And if you're a creative type like me, that's all I wanted to do, especially because they can populate your world that you're out there and, your little creations. So it's a lot of fun. And again, I think this game was really, really ahead of its time. It still runs pretty wonky when I was streaming it. And is definitely not, it definitely wasn't a game that was not intended to be streamed, for sure. I can't imagine what this game would look like with current gen upgrades, is what I'm trying to get at. If you have the ability to put this on an updated console and you could really expand on the creature creator aspect of it. I mean, there are some parts of it that are kind of like hokey and fun and stuff like that, because you're talking about a creature that goes from all the way up from a cell into a complex civilization. And so, all of those aspects are in there. But I think that honestly, on a next gen system with a lot of data out there, this game could be really an amazing game to see remade. Did you guys ever get a chance to check out Spore?
No, but we were talking about it a little bit before, and I was saying that with kind of like the evolution tech or the carryover gene tech that they came out with within the Beyond Human game that came out. Shit. Anyway, there was a new evolution game that came out not long ago where you get to be monkeys and you basically keep going until evolution. I think it's called Beyond Humanity or something. Yeah. But anyway, that game, if they could incorporate aspects like that into or even just the same old aspects of that game, but updated with newer, the consoles are so strong. Generating a world based off of evolution of one creature and stuff like that, they can do some incredible things. It would be insane to see what type of game they could build around this same concept. Yeah.
No, I would love to see a Spore recreated. Did you get a chance to check out any of my Free Game Friday sacks the other day when I did that? If not, you need to.
I definitely need to go back and take a look at it. I came in, I dropped you a lurk. I was in the middle of something else, but I saw you was on Sport. But I definitely need to go back and take a look, because it sounds like it's a interesting little situation there. But yeah, you're right. Probably
it's a fun one. And again, I felt like it stole the show in E3 2006, but evidently other people don't, and it never got a chance to shine after that. So
where did you get it for Free Game Friday? Where is it?
Free
Steam?
On Game Pass, I believe.
Cool.
So, which is not really free, but it's past enough for me to do Free Game Friday. So,
yeah.
That's been the qualification. But anyways, number 9 on the countdown is another one that definitely has been people. I've heard a lot of people talking about a remake for, or at least wanting a remake for. Jake, what's number 9 on the countdown?
Yeah, number 9 on the countdown is the classic NBA Street franchise. To me, this is the holy grail of sports games and certainly basketball video games. Volume 2 kicked up the whole formula and was excellent to its predecessor and dialed everything up a notch, building the best 3-on-3 basketball game of all time with absurd moves, the iconic game breaker system, and an elite soundtrack to match. In the games mode, Be a Legend, players assembled a roster of elite NBA talent from the early 2000s alongside legends and special fictional characters, traveling across the country for pickup games while songs from Black Sheep, Lords of the Underground, Pete Rock and CL Smooth, Nelly and Nate Dogg, and more were just blasting in the background. There are even 3 different versions of Michael Jordan that you can add to your team. The high-flying rookie version, the leader of the 72 or the 72 Bulls, are the 72 and 10 Bulls in '96, and are the Wizards Jordan, which, you know, if you're from Washington, hey, shout out. I would pay $100 for an updated version of these 2 games, kind of combined with present day players or anything like that. And NFL Street is in the same vein, and I contemplated putting both of these together, and kind of did in a way. Both franchises were iconic when I was a kid. NBA Street, NFL Street, phenomenal games. We haven't got anything like outrageous sport game like this in such a long time. It's like it's a dead. I don't want to call it a dying breed because it's dead. They don't make these outrageously fun. I digress. Nintendo does. We get Mario Golf. We get we get the crazy games.
That's true.
Nintendo.
That's true.
They'll still do it, but like Madden. Why so serious? You know, like why is it that like we always have to have these fucking like hardcore simulation games in sports? And so the NBA Street and the NFL Street were such good, like I want to say like they were like a vacation compared to playing a game of Madden against your boys, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's why they made number 9 on the countdown.
There's no football games where I can run on the side of the walls and then tackle somebody sideways while I still have the ball.
Or you could do the between the legs dribble move like NBA, and that was one of my favorite things, was building a team of guys like Ricky Williams and like some of the best, Randy Moss and like all of them, and then just like dominating against the computer and pulling insane moves. And so we haven't got outrageous sports games in a long time, and I really think they should bring them back.
One of the features that I really miss from some of the old NFL games, I don't know if it was just one of the regular NFL games or NFL Street games on one of the N64 Nintendo ones, but you could tackle the ref while they were making calls, and that was really fun because every single time the ref would make a call, you just run up to him.
Is that Blitz?
That's what it was.
Blitz. Yeah,
NFL Blitz, 100%. That's 100% what it was. I remember that one. Yeah,
I bought Blitz the League.
Tackle the ref again.
I bought Blitz the League not too long ago from eBay, just to play it on my PlayStation 3, and I had to and it was just so much fun breaking bones in a football game. Like that's just simple joys. Simple joys.
Simple joys. Simple joys. Oof. Well, not as many simple joys as number 8 gives some people. Sax, you got number 8 on the countdown. What's coming in at number 8?
At number 8, we've got Perfect Dark. The first installment of Perfect Dark franchise, developed by Microsoft development studio Rare, then developing for Nintendo, came out on May 22nd, 2000. The game was released on Nintendo 64 and later re-released on Xbox Live Arcade. Now that we've reached the first game's 20th anniversary, fans are clamoring for a new game in the series. While there's rumor that a new Perfect Dark game is in development, there has been no confirmation of this. The Perfect Dark series is beloved by Rare fans far and wide. While the game's later follow-ups weren't as well received as the original or its remaster, the series is one of Rare's classic series that is yet to make a return. Others include follow-ups to Conker's Bad Fur Day or non-Smash Bros. Comeback for the Banjo-Kazooie series. Perfect Dark was nearly the perfect follow-up to Rare's GoldenEye adaptation for Nintendo 64, featuring a wider arsenal with a better presentation and redefined gameplay. Perfect Dark gets a deserved amount of love. Hopefully the series comes back in some form, whether it's on Xbox Series X, re-released, or return to Nintendo platforms. It was Perfect Dark was fun. The first Perfect Dark game I played, it was on the 360. And this time I played this at Comrade Kev's house. Kids, this is when you would go to your friend's house to play video games. I sat
over to the homie's house
back in the day.
Sat on his couch and I grabbed a controller and we went through Perfect Dark. We got slapped up.
R.I.P. Couch Co-op. God damn.
Yeah. And you touch his leg.
I
then you'd both look in each other's eyes.
I don't remember that part, but sure.
And then you would say, "Get these hands," and then
a slow sax starts playing.
But no, Perfect Dark was a lot of fun. It's one of those franchises that a lot of people don't know that little subtle hint or that little thing that you put in there, that it was essentially a revamp of GoldenEye. Yeah. And they added more levels to and everything, and it is a completely different like game for story purposes and everything, but it was essentially a reskin of GoldenEye. And so if you really liked GoldenEye, you love that kind of like a lot of people consider it to be kind of the father of first person shooters in a way. Yeah. Like then Perfect Dark was right up your alley. And I remember loving this game when I was much younger. I know that they, definitely had a few sequels, like you said, but it's one of those that the OG title deserves a remake for just how good of a game it was for when it came out.
Oh yeah. 100%. But it doesn't deserve a remake as much as number 7 on the countdown, which is Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, which honestly, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters in this case is just a placeholder for any giant kaiju monster fighting games. We had one shit one that came out a couple of years ago. I think there's one for the PS4. There was a Godzilla game that came out, but it was absolute dog shit, and no one enjoyed it or anything else like that. But Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, on the other hand, I don't know if you guys ever got a chance to play it on the GameCube, the OG one. That was probably the peak of giant kaiju monster fighting games, which used to be a genre. That used to be a thing that they would actually make games like War of the Monsters was another one. Rampage was another one where they would have a lot of giant monster fighting stuff. But honestly, there's yet to be a kaiju fighting game that can compete with the GOAT Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. Developed by Pikeworks Software, published by Info Games under the Atari brand for GameCube in 2002, and then later for the Xbox in 2003. The game was an absolute peak for the genre that is frequently ignored and featured kaiju favorites like Ghidorah, Rodan, Gigan, Mothra, and more. I would settle for a War of the Monsters remake, because that's the only game where I've ever been able to rip a cell phone tower off and then impale you with it. So that mechanic alone is enough to warrant another version of that game. But the revival of the MonsterVerse in general and King Kong versus Godzilla, like, why not give the King of Monster what it deserves? Give me a reason to lay the smack down on Jake's Godzilla with my King Kong. Make it happen. We will pay good money for it. I'll come in with that big axe thing, and I'll be like, this is how it should have gone, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Honestly, when I was looking over the script on this one, and you put this game as one of your top ones, it immediately made me go, "Fuck! That is one GameCube game I forgot to buy," because I bought a bunch of them. Speaking of nostalgia purposes, of maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, I bought a GameCube with a shitload of GameCube games. Yeah. And over the years, as someone has pulled another one out of the crevices of my brain, I buy them. I go on eBay and I try to find them. It was on Amazon, an unopened version of Destroy All Humans is for sale for like $150. And so, but on eBay you can get it for $40. It's crazy though. That game came out in 2002 and it's still a $40 game. But right. It's one of those where like that was a fun game. I remember playing it for hours. And it was without that game, I don't know if we get Godzilla versus King Kong,
Yeah, no, I feel like that really did expand the whole like MonsterVerse, and like that's where I started wanting to learn about what Skull Island was and what the whole like Godzilla lore was beyond that, was because of Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, 100%. But Sax, did you ever get a chance to play Godzilla Destroy All Monsters?
Unfortunately, I didn't.
Oh, you missed out. You missed out on a good one.
I know. I didn't have a GameCube. So the only GameCube playing that I did was again at friends' houses on their couches. Kids. Yeah. That used to be a thing. Believe us. So yeah.
Savage said in the comments there, Nintendo just needs to bring back the GameCube, and I think that's a very valid point. Just bring back. The GameCube is a really underrated console. Yeah. When it comes out there, they had a lot of good ones. I mean, they had the best Smash Brothers of all time on the game.
Jessica loved her Wii because her brother was able to get ports for all of the GameCube games on the Wii. and so she just had a bunch of GameCube games on her Wii.
Need ports. It was backwards compatible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You can just get the game. It
He
was
got
really
them
nice.
for free from the internet.
Yeah. That'll do
Pirate
it.
stuff.
That'll do it. Well, moving right along on the list, one that we couldn't have a nostalgia list without talking a little bit about Tony Hawk, right?
Yeah.
What's number 6 on the countdown, Jake?
Number 6 on this week's countdown is Tony Hawk Underground, 1 and 2, to be honest. After seeing the release of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered and feeling the nostalgia from those days of playing Tony Hawk games as a kid, I have an itch to play one of my favorite games in the series, Tony Hawk's Underground. The story, the ability to get off your board, and so much more in Tony Hawk Underground was great. Tony Hawk's Underground and Tony Hawk Underground 2 are fondly remembered by fans as the best of the free roam Tony Hawk era. Released in 2003 and 2004, respectively, the Underground series is well loved by fans due to how they revolutionized the series. But these two games deserve remakes not just because they're beloved, but because also how well they'd pair together. A remake of Thug and Thug 2, which think about that for a minute. That's so much more fun to say, Thug. Thug and Thug 2 could iron out some of the less than stellar portions of the original games. Thug had some strange amount of driving challenges and stealth sections that felt clunky and kind of half-baked. But, I mean, these were skateboard games. I don't know why they would build stealth missions in skateboarding games, but that's just how crazy Tony Hawk Underground was. The later could be fixed with some rework on the parkour systems. But while the return to the driving sections would be faithful to the original, fans would likely be fine with those being reworked in some other way or removed altogether. But these games are remembered. A lot of people, love Tony Hawk Underground. I, for one, remember specifically, basically, it was the white button on the OG Xbox, because I don't know if you guys remember, the OG Xbox had a white and black button.
Yeah.
And so they just magically did away with another, whenever the console grew more. But yeah, so I remember you would have to press the white button to get off of your skateboard, and you could just walk around and do stuff and talk to people. And I thought that was the most revolutionary thing in a fucking Tony Hawk game. Like, it was insane. And they built the whole franchise around that. And these games, you made a no-name skater. You worked your way up. The second one, you get abducted by Bam Margera, which was a huge name at the time. Yeah. And so, like, it's one of those where, like, I would pay good money for a new Tony Hawk Underground 1 and 2. They would be so much fun to play, and they'd be such good nostalgia tricks.
Skater culture still there to make a game around it? Like, is that?
It's not.
Was it a product of its time?
Skateboarding and pro skateboarding. You got to think, like, do you guys remember when every girl in the world wanted to blow Ryan Schreckler, and he was like 17, and you were just like, why the fuck does everybody want to blow this child? And like, but it was like literally like everyone was obsessed with that man, and all he was a mildly attractive skateboarding kid. And so it was like it was because everybody else looked like Tony Hawk. And no offense to Tony Hawk, but not the most handsome guy. And so like there's a reason why some of them were like just blown up. I don't know if we will ever see skater boy culture get as big as we did back in that time period, because like you had the Jackass guys that were ramping it all up. Rob Dyrdek got his own show during that time, because of everything. You had Viva La Bam, motherfucker. Like that shit was insane. Yeah. And so like I don't think we'll ever get that kind of like hype again. But I think with the success of seeing the remaster of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, it begs the question, why not? Why not keep remastering some of them? Can't be that hard.
No, I think that's a good point. The skater culture there is what I worry about being able to still be a good sell. But I think hell, as we talked about earlier, one of the reasons we're having this whole episode right now is nostalgia, and I think the nostalgia there will hands down sell at the end of the day, 100%.
I haven't put my fat ass on a skateboard in probably about 12 to 15 years, if I had to guess. But I would still play this game.
I would argue also, you said that Tony Hawk's not a very attractive dude. I would say that Tony Hawk is the most average looking dude out there. Imaginable. I can't, he's one of those people that you can see at the supermarket.
He's the stock model for cis
white men. Right. Yeah. Like he is the most average looking white dude I've seen ever. So
I think legendary skateboarder of all time.
And the most legendary skateboarder of all time.
But it's the reason why people don't notice him.
Right. He makes money off of that.
One of the most respected white people amongst black people. Like there's that meme where it's like Wesley Snipes is like pointing a gun and has the tear dropping from its face. Yeah. And it was like the joke was like the revolution where black people take over and you have to go to Tony Hawk. And then there's that. Tony Hawk even replied to that. He was like, "Oh, I appreciate the hesitation, though."
Yeah, Tony, like, he's always been a good guy, and he always he tweets about whenever people are like, "Hey, you kind of look like Tony Hawk," like and stuff like that. Like he tweets about that shit all the time. But it's good to know that Tony Hawk is up there with Jamal Evans.
Yeah, he's got a special place.
That's Chris Evans, by the way, if you guys.
Yeah. I was just gonna let that go over. Yeah.
Y'all haven't seen all the memes about Jamal Evans? Like Chris Evans apparently, like that dude, he if he's outside spotted macking on somebody, it's a woman of color. And so like Chris Evans has gotten a lot of clout on Twitter lately. Like people have been like, "That's my dude, Jamal Evans."
Hey,
because spoiler alert for those that don't know, obviously. That's my name. So it's
oh yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, I forgot about that shit.
I was like, huh?
It started with Lizzo. Lizzo started it because she tried to. Okay. Lizzo got drunk.
That's when Sax just reaches up and the shield comes into his hand. She's like, "What'd you say?"
Jamal Evans. I'm like,
right. Where's Mjolnir?
And slid in Chris Evans' DMs, and Chris was he was open to it. And so everybody's been going off about like Chris Evans being invited to the barbecue. Like,
yeah, he's invited to the cookout. He can come.
There you go. Well, number 5 in the countdown, moving right along. Well, number 5 in the countdown is actually all about moving actually really fucking fast. What you got for number 5 in the countdown, Sax?
At number 5, we have F-Zero. Falcon! Now I know the undisputed Nintendo racing game is Mario Kart, but what if the next racing game to grace the Nintendo Switch wasn't from the Mushroom Kingdom? What if it was F-Zero? F-Zero debuted in 1990 and was hailed as one of the fastest racing games around. It was also beloved for its incredible music and characters, along with unique racing tracks. Since 2004, though, the series has been nowhere to be found except for the other Nintendo IPs. After its inclusion in Super Smash Bros., Captain Falcon became a household name, and Nintendo still uses F-Zero tracks on both Smash Bros. And Mario Kart.
How insulting is it that fucking F-Zero tracks are in Mario Kart?
I know.
Yeah.
And there's not an F-Zero game.
The disrespect. It's clear there's still a market for the F-Zero game.
Right.
Crash Team Racing is proof of that. Nostalgic racing games can have success. Now it's time to remake F-Zero. Some aspects would need to be improved, like customizing a racer, character, and maybe adding a few power-ups. But F-Zero is a bad boy in the racing genre, and it's time he makes a fashionably late return to the Nintendo Switch. I need the swag of F-Zero, damn it. I need it.
It'd be and a great Switch game to remake.
So I can do it.
There are so many characters in the F-Zero franchise. We would be if there was a new F-Zero franchise, we would be talking about more F-Zero characters in Smash than just Captain Falcon, because Captain Falcon is just literally just one, and there's a bunch of them that are really cool. And and I think that there's a really cool story you could build there. There's a very futuristic city with a speed racer kind of thing. I mean, think of like pod racing meets speed racer in a Nintendo franchise, and like give me that in modern day. I think that could really fucking work, you know?
Oh yeah. No, and I think racing games, they've stayed popular over the years, so I don't see why. It's surprising they haven't remade F-Zero by now.
Yeah, it really is. It seems like one they missed. For sure. But also one that has been clearly missed as far as a game that needs to be remade. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Number 4 in the countdown is Evolve. Evolve was a truly revolutionary game. It was a 4v1 game where 4 player-controlled hunters took on 1 player-controlled monster. And that player-controlled monster would basically eat other animals throughout the forest and evolve to get special abilities and then take on those hunters to try and defeat them. Now, it was an absolutely amazing experience that was plagued by technical difficulties it had at the startup, and it actually had shut down its servers after 2 years. It's doubtful we'll ever see a remake because the studio doesn't see the game as an actual success and sees that 4v1 just doesn't work. There were so many things that they said that they just would introduce new things and would absolutely break the game. And I mean, I just didn't feel that way. I still have clips on my Facebook page of me playing Evolve because it was such a fun game that I absolutely loved to see. And you know, I don't know. Jake, you played a little bit of Evolve. What do you think about Evolve making this list?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that definitely needs a remake because it was such a cool concept. I had a lot of fun playing this game in the early stages. It was one of those that's like, it's almost very Fortnite-y. It was kind of like ahead of its time in that aspect that they produced a game that necessarily wasn't a $60 game. It should have been a cheaper game with season passes and things like that to really like keep people going. I think if they would have had the season pass model then, the way that we kind of do now, thanks to like Fortnite and PUBG and things like that really coming out. The other this helped set the pave the way for other battle royales, because it kind of was a battle royale in a way. You and 4 other dudes dropped. You didn't know where the enemy was. The enemy didn't know where you were unless they could sense you, and certain monsters could do that. But like, it was still, they had to get pretty damn close to even do that.
Right.
But such a fun game, such a unique concept that like, due to shitty servers and other things and the bugs and stuff, I think a lot of people fell off. And also it got a little repetitive. It was one of those to where like after you played a few, and they trickled out monsters. I don't think they trickled them out fast enough personally.
I agree.
That was another thing. It took months for a new monster to come out.
3 months was every update.
Exactly. And it was just one of those where like, that shouldn't have taken as long as it did, especially for some of the cooler monsters to come out later.
Yeah.
And so literally by the time you got all of the hunters and all of the monsters, the dedicated servers were shutting down because they had kind of like put this game in the rear view. But it was one that I know both of us, I was highly excited for this game and I enjoyed it when I could play it. I think given the tech that we have now and the power of how much stronger social media has gotten even, this game could do really well, especially in streaming environments. This is kind of like a Dead by Daylight before Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. A Dead by Daylight before Dead by Daylight. Did you ever get a chance to play around with Evolve at all? I know you've heard us talk about it for sure, Sax.
No, it's actually a game I was very, very interested in playing. I just never got around to playing it, but I was definitely down for the concept. I don't understand why they would believe that the 4v1 concept wouldn't work, because it has shown, and it is working today. You know what I'm saying, for certain games. But like Jake was saying, if this game, it came out in the time of the way social media works now, and the way with the battle passes and stuff like that, all of that stuff coming out, and to be sold at a cheaper price than $60. That's one of the things that I do understand about games. It's like, you dropped Left 4 Dead, you dropped Left 4 Dead 2, you dropped this new IP that's evolved, and you thought it was going to be Left 4 Dead. It wasn't. Now, not to say it wasn't going to be great, but it's not Left 4 Dead. Let people fill it in and see what they want to do. But if it were to come out in this time, it would absolutely still be around. It would definitely still be prevalent. I could see it working really, really well.
I think that the success of Dead for Daylight really does point to it would have potential success there. I don't mean to cut you off there. What were you saying?
No. You're right. I mean, the formula works. And the only difference is with Dead by Daylight, besides it being, like horror-ish genre, it's like they change the player one's perspective altogether, where it's there in the first person perspective and the other 4 players in third person perspective. Right. So it makes things a little bit, it changes it up, but it's still that basic formula of the 4v1 situation. I honestly think it could do good in this time. That's just me. I wanted to play it, but it's sad.
No. It came out just a little bit, and honestly, just a little bit before the time, because I think that was like late college for us, and then right after college for us is really when I think streaming picked up and like stuff like Fortnite became immensely popular and things of that nature. Yeah. You still had things like League of Legends that were still getting a lot of streaming attention on Twitch at the time, but still at that time, Twitch was just a baby. You know, there were people that were on Twitch at that time and are still on Twitch now are uber successful because they got it in on it kind of a little bit earlier. And I think that Evolve would have really benefited from that community more.
100%, because it's a fun one to watch.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But another sci-fi series that a lot of people want to see remade, and we got something pretty close to a remake at least in the last E3. But the Metroid Prime trilogy coming in at number 3. Jake, tell us why the Metroid Prime trilogy makes number 3 on the countdown.
Yeah, all of the games on the list, Metroid Prime Trilogy has been the most rumored and may have even been announced already if it weren't for delays to Metroid Prime 4. The trilogy would be the best way to refresh old players on these games before the eventual release of Metroid Prime 4, while also introducing new players to what makes the series so special. Naturally, the dated graphics of these GameCube and Wii titles could be improved. However, it's also an opportunity to alter the control schemes of these games for a better experience all around, and probably even like really help be a launching pad into Metroid Prime 4 once we finally get that. Motion aiming can be replaced by regular or gyro controlled aiming, and tweaks to the Dark World sections could make for some harder moments, especially during Metroid Prime 2, as that one seems to be, you know, a lot of fans believe that's the easiest one. And so, but yeah, I think the Metroid Prime trilogy in general, Metroid is obviously a game that, you know, holds a lot of it's got a lot of clout in people's hearts, especially on the nostalgia, but not just that, but just on the fact that Samus is a cool character, and, you know, people have been wanting more of Samus for a very long time. Oh, yeah. Metroid Prime 4 has been delayed and, you know, pushed back so long that like the fans are still really wanting that, and, you know, we saw it in this year's E3. And so I think a remake of the first 3 games would be a great way to bring back 4. And I don't know if we'll ever see them, but the way the games are and the way they're built, it doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to, you know, remake and bring back some of these games. And so that's why Metroid Prime, the trilogy, has to make number 3 on this list. LOL.
Right. Absolute classic. I understand why it's high up there, and, you know, we could always use more Metroid games, right, Sax?
Yeah, absolutely. And my introduction into Metroid situation was Smash Bros. You know, and Samus and Smash Bros. And stuff like that. And like, although I haven't played any of the Metroid games, I've watched gameplay for a lot of them, and they are very interesting little games. You know what I mean? Like the side scroller situation, the thing that they dropped for E3 looks pretty lit, and you know, there's a constant movement. Well, you know what I'm saying, with this particular one, where you have to get away from this thing that will completely decimate you. You know what I mean? And like, that's actually pretty cool. And I would like a trilogy remake for me, so I could go back and play it and see what it's about. Because no,
exactly. Especially before the new one.
Yeah.
I have many reasons to like Samus. I'm gonna leave that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of sci-fi space scrollers, side scrollers in space, sci-fi side scrollers in space. Say that 5 times fast. Close. What you got for number 2 in the countdown, Sax?
Number 2 on the countdown for this side-scrolling sci-fi platformer is Earthworm Jim.
How the fuck did you get through that so quickly? I'm mad that you got through that so easily. I am mad that you did that so just. God. Ugh.
Oh man, let's see if I can get through the rest of it though. Earthworm Jim is a series of side-scrolling platforming games featuring an earthworm named. Damn it, I love the writing. An earthworm named Jim who wears a robotic suit and battles the forces of evil. The series is noted for its platforming and shooting gameplay, surreal humor, and edgy art style. 4 games were released in the series, but it's been since 1994. Earthworm Jim is one of those series which really defines the 16-bit era. While it was a late release on the SNES and the Genesis Mega Drive, it really pushed the boundaries of those systems and built a solid fan base which would endure for the years despite some rather underwhelming sequels. While a remake has been rumored for a while now, you'll probably never play it because the game will be exclusive to, what is that? Intellivision? Amico?
Intellivision Amico.
That is that is a new console created as a reboot of the brand. It is initially due out for release on October, but has been delayed to April 2021 as a result of the pandemic.
And it did not come out in April.
Tell us a little bit about Intellivision Amco, because you looked into a little bit of this, right?
Yeah, no, and I meant to add a note even onto this that it didn't even come out in April, and there hasn't been much of an update since. But essentially, Intellivision Amico was supposed to be a new console that was gonna, debut, and it was hanging its hat on Earthworm Jim being its Master Chief, essentially, to carry this brand, which is fucking hilarious if you think about it. I personally believe this is some sort of it was a weird Kickstarter scheme. They brought back all of the original writers, everybody who'd worked on the old school Earthworm Jim franchise. And so it would be interesting to see Earthworm Jim make a comeback, but it really feels like it's getting kind of a strange treatment being put as it's being used as the launching pad for this crazy new console. And so I don't know really where we'll finally or when we'll finally see Earthworm Jim. But I get why he's number 2 on the list. People love Earthworm Jim. I loved Earthworm Jim. It was a fun game. I believe he even had a show that and that was okay. And do you remember there was a claymation fighting game that had Earthworm Jim in it too? And oh man, that shit fucking slapped. And so there's a lot of fun stuff to be had with Earthworm Jim. I really hope he finds his way out of whatever the fuck is Intellivision Amco though.
Yeah. No, he was a real zany character and a kind of an icon of the 90s. And it's one of those characters on our list here that I feel like it's really oh yeah, remember him? He was one of those characters that should be up there with fucking Samus, Earthworm Jim for Smash. I'm there, he was 100% an icon like that, I think Conker was another good example of someone that was like that too.
As of now, it's supposed to come out in October of 2021. Its original release date was April 2019.
Wow.
And so we'll see. We'll see if we get it.
We'll see if Earthworm Jim comes out with it. Did you ever dabble in any Earthworm Jim nonsense, Sax, before?
Here's the thing. I didn't personally, but I was around because that came around, like I said, the Genesis era.
Yeah.
So I had one, but that's one of the games I didn't have. I have so many other games, but I didn't have that one. But I had cousins who had it and watched them play, and it looked hella entertaining. And I was oh, I kind of, can I borrow this? No, okay.
That was the end. It was one of those things that if you were around during that time, you knew about it at least,
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But I know that Sax, about number 1 on this countdown.
Oh God,
that's for damn sure.
We all
I know. We all know about it. And this is one in the
it.
countdown that actually it has the most potential to actually get our dreams come true. But because we've heard about it so many times being remade and we haven't actually seen the fucking receipts yet, it's still number 1 on our list. And that's motherfucking KOTOR. That's right.
Proof is in the pre-order.
Old Republic. Do what?
I said the proof is in the pre-order. Once it becomes available to pre-order, that is when I'll know it's real.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
No list of the greatest games that need a facelift would be complete without the Knights of the Old Republic. With a sprawling storyline, a layered battle and morality system, and beautiful amounts of side quests and environment, this BioWare masterpiece and its sequel managed to crawl up from merely being a good Star Wars games into one of the greatest and most influential games of all time. Players can and do revisit these games even today. Still considering that KOTOR was released in 2003 and it's beginning to really show its age. I mean, I've even thought about trying to find ways to emulate this and stream this because I'm interested in playing this game because I never even got a chance to actually play through the whole thing, even though I already know the story because KOTOR is that legendary. A next-gen revamp can give this game a true open-world functionality for several visitable planets, an overhauled battle system, and even more side quests and layered story development. In the post-Witcher 3 world we currently live in, Knights of the Old Republic deserves nothing less. Rumors are suggesting that Electronic Arts is developing a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake that currently fits the current canon. And the remake could be retooled and contain elements from both the Knights of the Old Republic games. And if validated, the Star Wars community will be in an uproar over this startling news. We are definitely waiting patiently, but until we wait patiently, it will remain on our countdown. We want Revan. Revan is like hugely influential now in Star Wars culture. I mean, like I love the picture that Cape grabbed for this one, because this Revan here is a femme Sith Revan, and that's one variation of Revan that could be very true to one player, and another version of Revan can be very true to another player, and that's what I fucking love about Revan. That's what I fucking love about this Knights of the Old Republic games, and that's why I think that it makes number one on the countdown. Sax, tell me why I'm right.
I'm going to tell you why you're right, because this game is just fucking legendary. Like, it really is. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this one time, seriously at the camera. I do not play probability combat video games. This is a probability combat video game that I would play over and over and over and over and over again with no problems. Oh, yeah. This game was done so well. Like, I would literally take this game with a facelift for 2021, with the exact same way, where you cap out at a 20, you got 20 skill points you can use. You cap out at that. You can't do anything more. I would take it the exact same way, and I would be absolutely happy. I would obviously love them to do a lot more with it, but even if they just redid it the exact same way with upgraded graphics, I would be ecstatic.
Oh, yeah.
No, same. It's one of those games. I replayed this game probably about 5 years ago, or maybe a little longer. I replayed it on my laptop while I was in college. I remember specifically because they ported it to Mac, and you could buy it in the App Store for like $20. And I was like, you know what, done. And so for like $20, I bought like 1 and 2 from Apple, because the games, used to be so big that, it was like, oh no, but like now in 2020, you can fit that shit on your MacBook, and it's like the small, it's really not that bad. And so I played both of these games. They have a really good Steam community that has built a lot of, if you're going to go back and play it, buy it from Steam. There are mods that you can download for this game that fix a lot of the bugs and stuff that the developers never had the time. There's actually even a whole story mod that adds a lot of the side missions that got cut out in the main game that people found in the source code, and were able to take the source code of those side stories, flesh them out, and completely add them to that
fan-made remastered version.
Yeah. No, there is. Steam essentially has a fan-made remastered version. The graphics, obviously, we lost Sax.
Sax has got something, yeah. No, he's got a reason, I'm sure.
No, he said he was going to. Said I'll be right back. He's gonna go play Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's got
boom,
it. The platinum hits.
Platinum hits. Wow, look at that.
Woo. Yes.
No, it's one of the greatest games I've ever played. Yeah. It's so much fun. I like if the rumors of the remake being a combo of the two games with additional story and like all kinds of stuff being added to it. Fuck me running. That's worth $60-$70 or whatever the fuck you're gonna charge me for it. I'm definitely paying for it. And so that's the power of nostalgia, baby.
I have the second disc in here too. I have this game, and I have the number 2, and I have number 2 in there. Let's do it. I'm so serious. I played this game like Jake, like you said 5 years ago. I played this game over in 2019, and I did it. I think I streamed it. Now, it wasn't even streaming for real then. I just did it because someone said I want to watch.
Yeah, it's a fun game. The choices feel like. Every choice feels like it has it's very Mass Effect, Fallout kind of in that aspect that you feel like your choices matter. Yeah. I honestly don't think I've ever played a dark side playthrough, so I may want to do that one day. So I hope they
haven't. Oh
yeah. No, I think
Sax's face.
Do it.
I am always either a middle of the pack or a light side kind of a guy, and so like I don't think I ever played a dark side playthrough, so I definitely need to do that sometime.
Oh yeah.
Also, Revan, first gender fluid Jedi. That's canon.
Well, this game is so good. I do want to note that it's one of the few games. There's not many games, especially RPG games, that I've replayed. I know a lot of people get a lot of play out of games like Fallout and Skyrim and stuff. I played Skyrim one time, and I put enough hours into it that I felt good. I played Fallout 3 one time. I put enough hours into it. I felt good, right? Knights of the Old Republic, I've went back and played this game at least 2 or 3 times to try to get some different endings, to just fuck around, just to go back and play it because it's a fun game. And so it's one of those where like I really hope we get a remake.
Coming to a stream near you soon. I'm gonna be streaming this game because I haven't played it yet, and I know that it's a good one. I wanna check it out for sure.
If you don't 100%. Do it, damn it, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, I need to just bite the bullet and do it. I wish there was a way we could do it together, but there's no way. There's not. That was before co-op, right?
Yes.
Which is another thing. EA, fucking remake that shit with co-op, all right? Like, that would be fucking amazing.
I mean, you have a party, so it would be fun.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Honorable mentions in our countdown: Splinter Cell, fucking Star Fox, goddammit, Dino Crisis, DBZ Budokai, Jet Set Radio, Power Stone, the Arkham series, NFS Underground, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Tenchu Z, and Time Splitters. Any other honorable mentions you have that you got? Sax?
I got one. And Kev would love it, and Sag is gonna love it too. The Def Jam fighting series.
Oh, fuck yes.
Def Jam Fight for Me.
I love
I
that game.
need that in my life.
Those games were so ridiculous.
Yes.
You can stomp a motherfucker out with Rick Ross or like
Beat somebody's ass with Ludacris and Redman.
I was about to say Ludacris. Yeah, you got fucking DMX, RIP, just like straight whooping ass in that game. It was it was rapper fighting game, and it was I had it. I owned it.
Shout out to Savage and Littlest Nelly with their picks: Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and Banjo-Kazooie. I know Littlest Nelly just wants Sonic Adventure 2 Battle just because he wants that Chow Garden back. Yeah. Which it is really weird that Sonic, although it's at as many iterations, hasn't brought back that Chow Garden, because I always was really confused by that aspect when I was a kid, and now I'm like, they really took that out? I mean, like, I spent a lot of time trying to find that shit and find all those different chows and shit, and feel like that was wasted in the iterations coming forward. But Banjo-Kazooie is definitely overdue for a remake too. They can do it to Crash, they can do it to Banjo.
Exactly. And I think Banjo-Kazooie was one of those franchises that, I mean, shit, if you're putting him in Smash Bros, obviously people want him. Right. Give him his remake. Yeah,
he's overdue. He is overdue. Well, that will wrap it up for this episode of Geek Life. If you enjoyed everything today, make sure to drop that like, drop that follow. You can always leave us a review on iTunes. We love that. Those always help us boost us in the algorithm. But if you're a longtime follower of us, please just go ahead and share this with a friend. Go tell somebody else about it. Like one of our posts, share some of those things. That's the best way to help us out. And if you want to go even further than that, there's a donation link at the bottom below, and we take donations. So if you also want to find any of us on any of our personal socials, you can find me at Roos Bane on Twitter and Twitch. Sax, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitch at _fattest_Sax, and you can find me on Instagram at Javen_Shepherd.
And Jake, what about you?
You can find me at Gonzo Gone Live on both Twitch and the Twitterverses. I'm hoping to get to streaming one day, and I say that every week. And I think if I keep saying it, one day I'll manifest it. So
one day. All right, I don't know why I need to throw that in there. Big shout out to our moderator, Littlest Nelly, and our video producer, Cape. Thank you so much, Cape. Absolutely killed it today. And to all of our new followers, we had one before the break. Shout out to everybody in chat that's going crazy. Littlest Nelly, Viscardi Vendetta, hello, good to see you again. Geek Life Live, Caperdoodle, Savage Patch, I already said Savage. Greatest Pistachio was back here. Sag Gaming. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are absolutely what makes this happen. So thank you. We'll be back. Actually, I could say this time. We'll be back the same time, same place next week. We're having another show next week where we'll be featuring our good friend Semper Zombie as a guest host. So you definitely want to tune in for that one. We got a lot of fun things to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you guys.